How do you know if someone stole your joke or if you just have a common joke? And what I mean by that is, if something happens in the news, sometimes the easy punchline is always going to be the one that all the comedians write at the same time. So if you watch The Tonight Show or one of these late night shows and they throw out a setup, sometimes it's easy to guess the punchline sitting at home, but to a comic who wrote that as they read it in the paper or something like that, all of a sudden they go, man, I tried that out on stage last night. You know, maybe Jimmy Kimmel's people were there because now Jimmy Kimmel just said it on stage. Well, I doubt that happened. You guys have a common joke. You do. Like, I hate to say it, but when everyone got mad at Carlos Mencia, and they were right to do it, he's admitted it, I saw him steal 1,000,000 times, doesn't matter. But when they called him out on stage, they called him out over what I considered a common joke. We all know uncommon jokes. You know, if someone started doing Eddie Murphy's ice cream joke, we would all know that they stole it, okay? If they started doing Richard Pryor shooting his car bit, we would know that they stole it, okay? But a common joke, the one that happened with Joe Rogan and Carlos, and who was the other comic? I guess Ari Shaffir. It was his joke. I guess he's the one who wrote it or said it. Something about, we're going to build this wall, who's going to build it, right? I guess that was sort of the joke, is who's going to build the wall if we're sending all the Mexicans back. Isn't that sort of a common punchline? Can't we all agree that that wasn't the best one to call him out on? Because if you sat a bunch of comics down in a room, I promise you we would all come up with very similar answers. I used to write for Joan Rivers for E-Fashion Police, and I was in what's called, I don't know what it's called, the shit spot, the worst spot. She would sit here was the head writer, and there were 9 other comedians, writers, that were sitting at a table with us every week, going over a photo each time, and we had to do 10 photos, 20 photos, whatever it was, and write. I always had to write more jokes than anyone because I'm in that shit spot. Because this person now tells their 10. They tell theirs, they tell theirs. At this point, I'm looking at my 10, and I have 4 left. That's what I mean by a common joke. So, was Joe Rogan right in calling him out? Absolutely. Ari was right, yes. But what I'm saying is, if someone steals your joke, I don't even know what you can do. People fight, people put them up on blast. I guess that's the best way to do it. Why would you fight? What's that gonna do? You beat someone up? I don't know if people fight anymore. I don't know if it's reasonable. You can ruin someone by saying they steal jokes. Comics will retweet it and put it out there. No one likes a joke thief. So that's probably the best way, but I would be very, very careful that it's not a common joke. Make sure, like I have a bit called The Wizard of Oz, and I'll call out the guy. There's a guy named Rob McNaughty who came to Los Angeles in the 1990s, and I had already done this bit on TV many times. He was on a show on BET that was right after a show called Comic View that I was on, where I did my Wizard of Oz bit, and I won all these awards on there, and I had just won America's Funniest People back then with this bit called The Wizard of Oz. So he comes from New York, and to my comedy room. I was running a black show at the Belly Room of the Comedy Store in the 90s. And he came to my show and we introduced ourselves, and I was like, oh yeah, you're on that show after mine, because I was also on a sitcom, blah, blah, blah. So I knew he knew who I was. He comes to my room, I say, you're going up after me. I do my Wizard of Oz bit, he goes up after me. 2 months later, my phone's blowing up and everyone's going, Rob McNaughty is doing your Wizard of Oz bit on Star Search. About a month later, I saw him at the Improv. He went into the bathroom and escaped. I don't know where he went. We waited outside the bathroom. Who knows if he went out a window. But anyway, I've never talked about that before, actually. My friends knew about it, but I figured, why not? I'll put him on blast. I don't even know if the guy does comedy anymore. Who gives a shit? I'm just letting you know that that's how I handled it. I wanted to talk to him reasonably and figure out why. But the nice part was everyone already knew it was mine. Everyone already knew he was a thief, and maybe that's why no one's ever heard his name again. And as for the thieves out there, stop stealing material. We're not stupid. Some of you steal jokes from Chris Rock. Some of you steal jokes from Richard Pryor. You think I don't have those memorized? You think there's comics out there that don't know albums? Like you're stealing from the wrong people, you guys. I've seen comics, just rip people off completely. Knock it off. We're smarter than that. Anyway, you will ruin your career if you become a thief. You will. That's just how it works. You know, Carlos Mencia had the greatest comedy career going for a while, and once he admitted he was a thief, it kind of ended. He should have kept lying, man. I hate to say it, but when he wasn't admitting it, he had more fame. Once he admitted it, I feel like everyone was like, oh, really? Because the fans don't know. The comedians knew, but I think fans always thought it was a myth or something. Anyway, this is a really long one, you guys, but it got crazy, didn't it? Right.